Adding simple light to drawings. This is just a quick way I like to add simple but pretty light to my comics or animations. First, add a new layer above the other layers and set its blending mode to multiply. Then I fill this layer with a dark color. The hue depends on the scene. I often use blue as it gives a natural daylight or nighttime feeling. Whenever I don't want the background to be affected, I will just fill the area of a character or an object. We'll come back to this version at the end again. Next, add another layer and make it a clipping mask to the multiply layer. Let's call this one white clipping layer. I paint in the light with white since this acts like an eraser on a multiply layer. And to add shadows from a tree outside, I simply erase some leaf shapes from the white I just painted. To make the shadow look a bit softer, I apply a blur filter. Then I add another layer between the multiply layer and the white clipping layer. I also set this layer as a clipping mask to the multiply layer. Let's call this one colored clipping layer. Now I paint the area around the light using an airbrush. I like to use a saturated color, often contrasting the shadow. Here is how it would look on its own without a multiply effect. Then I will add some bright highlights for some extra glow. To do this, I make a selection of the painted light on the white clipping layer. Then I create another layer above and fill in the selection with a bright color, kinda matching the one I used on the colored clipping layer. I set this layer to a blending mode like Add Glow or Glow Dodge. And I will also lower the opacity until I like it. I might also blur this layer to make it look a bit softer. When I'm happy with the lighting, I might reduce the opacity of any of those layers until it looks right or adjust the colors a bit more. Extra tip to make it even more advanced, I might also erase even more parts on the white clipping layer that won't be hit by the light, like the door behind him and so on. But that goes too much into the direction of my usual rendering, so I will leave this one out. And here's the other version again. The multiply layer, white clipping layer, colored clipping layer, and the highlight layer. I hope this tutorial helped you in any way.